Someone says something designed to hurt you. An insult wrapped in a question. A challenge disguised as concern. And you feel it. The heat behind your eyes, the tightening in your chest, the urge to respond. That urge is not strength. That urge is a leash. And the person who provoked you already knows exactly how tight it is. The most dangerous people in the world do not react, and that single discipline is the one form of power almost nobody studies. This is shadow mind. By the end of this video, you will understand why non-reaction is the most sophisticated form of psychological dominance that exists. You will understand what happens inside the mind of the person who provokes you when you don't respond. And there is one part of this that will change how you see every conflict you've ever been in, because it reveals something uncomfortable about who was actually in control. Every social interaction runs on reactions. You speak, they respond. They provoke, you defend. This is the economy of attention, and like any economy, the person who controls supply controls the entire system. Psychologist Robert Levinson spent decades studying emotional reactivity. His findings were consistent. The person who reacts most reveals most, and the person who reveals most loses most. Think about your last argument, not what was said, who escalated first. That person handed over the map, every button, every fear, every insecurity. Reaction is confession, and most people confess constantly. Nobody provokes for no reason. Provocation is a test. It is a probe sent to discover where your edge is, how much pressure you can absorb before the mask comes off. In clinical psychology, this pattern is documented in research on individuals with Machiavellian traits. They probe before they move. They provoke before they extract. They need to know your threshold before they exploit it. On a first date, in a job interview, in a family dinner, someone is always reading your reactions, building a psychological profile, cataloging what destabilizes you. When you react with anger, you confirm the probe worked. When you react with explanation, you confirm you need their approval. When you react with hurt, you confirm the wound exists. Every reaction is data, and you keep donating it for free. Now here is the part almost nobody reaches. When you are provoked, your amygdala fires before you think. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux mapped what he called the low road. Sensory information hits the amygdala faster than it reaches the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that reasons. By the time you decide how to respond, your body has already responded. Voice louder, posture defensive, eyes breaking contact or locking too hard. The person watching you reads all of this before you even speak. This is not a character flaw. It is neurology. But here is the critical point. It can be trained. The people who consistently don't react are not emotionless. They have learned to place a delay between the stimulus and the response. That delay is called composure, and composure is a weapon most people never pick up. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Individuals high in psychopathic traits score significantly lower on emotional reactivity measures. This is documented. It is not that they feel nothing. It is that they have an attenuated response to social threat cues. An insult lands differently on them. A challenge registers differently. Research by psychologist Kevin Dutton found that subclinical psychopathic traits, the non-criminal version, are overrepresented in elite populations: CEOs, surgeons, special forces, lawyers, politicians. The common thread is not intelligence, it is emotional regulation under pressure, the ability to be attacked and continue operating without disruption. In a negotiation, the person who doesn't flinch when the other side gets aggressive immediately holds structural advantage, not because they said something clever, because they didn't react, and that alone changed the frame. Non-reaction is not passivity. It is not suppression. It is not weakness dressed as calm. The person who doesn't react is not absent from the moment. They are the most present person in the room. They are observing everything while giving away nothing. This is the structure of it. When you are provoked, the person expects a specific response. They have built a script. You defend, they escalate. You explain, they dismiss. You get louder, they win. Non-reaction destroys the script. It removes the fuel source. And suddenly, the person who tried to move you is standing in a room they no longer control. Historian Robert Greene documented this pattern across centuries of political power and warfare. The leaders who survived longest were never the most aggressive. They were the most unreadable. You cannot exploit what you cannot predict, and an unreactive person is completely unpredictable. Think about the last time you reacted in a way you regret. What did they see? What did your reaction confirm about what you're afraid of? Think about someone in your life who is consistently calm, who never seems destabilized, who never rushes to explain themselves. How do you behave around that person? How carefully do you choose your words? How much do you wonder what they think of you? That is not coincidence. That is power dynamics operating in real time. You are recalibrating around them because their composure is a signal. It says, "Nothing you do reaches me." And your nervous system reads that signal as dominance, not because they are dominant, because they appear ungovernable. And your brain has no strategy for someone it cannot move. What the powerful already know. Tactic 1. When someone provokes you, introduce a mandatory pause before any response. Not a dramatic pause for effect, a genuine physiological reset. One slow breath, body stays still, expression stays neutral. Let them sit in the silence they created. This is not a technique, this is a redirect of neurological control. Tactic 2. When someone challenges your decision, in work, in a relationship, in front of others, do not defend it. Defending is reacting. Instead, acknowledge, one sentence, neutral tone, then redirect. Defending confirms the challenge landed. Acknowledging and moving on signals it didn't. Tactic 3. Identify one person in your life who reliably triggers you. Study what they do specifically, what tone, what phrase, what timing. Once you know the exact mechanism, you can watch for it instead of feeling it. Observation and reaction cannot exist in the same moment. The moment you are watching, you are no longer reacting. That transition is everything. Anger is readable. Hurt is readable. Defensiveness is readable. Calm is not. The person who cannot be moved cannot be controlled. And in every room you walk into, in every relationship you are in every negotiation you will ever face, the question is always the same. Who has leverage over whom? Your reactions have been answering that question your entire life. The person who remembers everything, never brings it up, and waits. What that patience actually is
and why it should concern you far more than open aggression ever will.